Today on the Should Be the Church podcast, Ben is back. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the To Be the Church podcast, where we discuss what it truly means to be the church in today's culture. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain myself in this podcast. Like Andrew here, and here he is, guys. Ben is back.
I'm back.
Dude, PNW hat on. Where'd you get that hat?
You know the Camas store, downtown Camas? They sell like paper maker stuff and...
Okay. I
don't know.
but I'm sure it's rad.
Yeah, it's like a store with Camas stuff, so got it there.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Dude, you're looking sabbaticaled right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm back, first day back after 3 months.
Yeah.
Not at work.
Yeah.
So good to be back, ready to be back for sure.
Man, so ready to have you back. You just seem, we've spent a little time together today.
Mm-hmm.
Been hanging out the last couple of hours, catching you up on some of the happenings when you were gone. So I don't know. What did you read on sabbatical, Ben? No, give us some general, we'll go into what you read in a minute. Give us some general sabbatical thoughts, right?
Yeah.
As you're coming back, were you nervous driving in today?
No.
Oh, okay. Pretty set.
It was weird though, like having to get up and, have a purpose. Like I gotta get to work, because I mean, one of the benefits is mornings have been kind of easy. Like I'll get up, read, drink coffee, hang out with the kids. Like, all right, do I have this project I want to do today? When am I going to work out? What, are we going on a trip? And that's kind of been it. So to get up though, and that was good. I needed no purpose. I needed, that's the wrong way to say it. I needed to be okay with not being as productive and driven by my performance, and just kind of be, and just relax and chill and do what didn't, I read a book called The Rest of God that's on Sabbath and sabbaticals. And he talks about Sabbath is ceasing from what needs to be done and just doing what you want to do, or just enjoying God and his gifts, and not being kind of bound to all the things you have to do, being able to rest from that. I felt like I got to do that a lot on sabbatical. So, but it comes to a point where I can't do that forever, right? That would be
retirement.
Yeah. American retirement. But yeah, I have thoughts on sabbatical. I don't know how much you want me to share about,
yeah, I feel like we got to do an episode on that. You feel fresh and ready for that action?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This is Thoughts on Sabbatical with Ben Potloff.
I guess so. When I say thoughts, like what I learned, how it was beneficial to go on a sabbatical. And I think you'll relate to these and understand, whereas maybe a listener might if they haven't been in vocational ministry. But the first benefit was a break from the constant depletion that I have felt as a pastor. Caring for souls. So Hebrews 13:17. Obey your leaders, submit to them, for they are keeping watch over your souls as ones who will have to give an account. Keeping watch over people's souls week in, week out for years and years and years is mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausting. And I don't think I realized how exhausting it was until I got a break from feeling that. Like the depletion you feel on Sunday afternoons and Monday mornings after you preach, the exhaustion you feel after you're counseling and meeting with people and helping people just with the mess of their marriages and their lives as you're managing staffs and people. All the things I love to do and I'm called to do are just exhausting. And so to not have that, like I didn't have that feeling on a Sunday afternoon that I always feel after I preach. And that was nice just to have a break from it. And I didn't even realize I was getting a rest from that until halfway through the sabbatical. I was asked by some friends to kind of step in and help them in their marriage. They're not a part of the church, friends from a different state. And they asked me just to come in, and they needed counsel. They were struggling. And so I had multiple hour meetings with them separately together. And I did it because they're my friends. They weren't like people from CW, but they needed me and I wanted to be there. I love them. But after those meetings, I was like, wow, I am mentally dead. And I was like, I haven't experienced this recently. And so it helped me realize like, that's what I'm getting a break from, is this pastoral weight that I always feel. And so I'm grateful for that, you know, because I think if you run at that pace and you experience that depletion forever and ever with no break, that's why guys burn out. And that's why we need sabbaticals. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to take a sabbatical every year or even every few years. But my sabbatical coach who I was meeting with was telling me, okay, but some of these lessons you're learning, how can you work in little Sabbaths, right? Or just a Sabbath and these routines so that you can rest, because that depletion is still going to happen. And so I'm working with Andrea to figure out how to do that. So that was one big thing that I'm just grateful for. Another thing is I really had to wrestle with my identity. So I have a few. I actually was just kind of journaling some things today while I'm my first day back off sabbatical, because I didn't want to forget them. But I wrote down, who am I when I don't do what I normally do? Do I have worth, value, joy if I'm not receiving affirmation for what I do? I think not preaching, not being a pastor, not being a leader, I realized that a lot of my identity and worth is bound in how people affirm me as a pastor. That weekly, hey, pat on the back, good sermon, hey, we're grateful for, and our people at our church are super affirming and encouraging. I know not every pastor experiences that. I've been really blessed to have people that I know they love me, they appreciate me, but not having that, I was kind of like, who am I? Like, what do I have worth and value? And I didn't realize how much stock I had put into my worth and value coming from my pastor Ben, and people like me and people like my leadership or my preaching or whatever. And again, my sabbatical coach helped me realize like that's a good thing that I should be thankful for, that I have people around me that encourage me and affirm me, but my ultimate identity can't be wrapped up in that. And so I went down to hear my brother preach at his church in Oregon during my sabbatical, and he was preaching in Philippians 3, and it was kind of a lot about that. It was about identity. And Paul says this, well-known passage, Philippians 3, 7, and 8, but whatever gain I had, I counted as loss for the sake of Christ. Indeed, I count everything as loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord. And that was really timely for me, because Paul's saying I have all these ministry accomplishments, Pharisee of Pharisee, righteousness according to the law. But he's like, that is all lost. That's all rubbish, dung, compared to actually knowing Christ. So that was a great encouragement to me. Like, my worth, my value, my identity is in Christ and knowing Christ. And so even if I wasn't a pastor, that doesn't affect my identity a single bit. And so I want to know Christ. I want that to be my goal, as Paul says, is not to be a great preacher, a great pastor. Those are good things. Those are my ultimate goals, though. My ultimate goal is to know Christ. And so that was really good.
Did you find after preaching weekly for so long, you know, and obviously there's breaks, and like, you know, you'll have Max or another guy in the pulpit, so it's not like you're preaching like 40 in a row or something, but you're preaching like way more often than you're not, right? And you're like week to week pulpit ministry for years. Did you find that after doing that, once it went silent, and it's not like you get the first week and you're off and you're not prepping a sermon, and then the second week and then the third week, what did you experience in that, in like I mean, sermon prep is obviously super heavy, and you talked about the caring for souls and that kind of thing, but talk a little bit about the not preaching part, and what maybe the first month, 2 months, do you feel like you detoxed from the pulpit? Like, how long did it take? And maybe talk a little bit about that.
The first couple weeks felt like a normal vacation that I'll take, because I think the max I've ever taken out is like 2, maybe 3. And so honestly, it kind of felt the same as I'm taking some time off. And then we went on a long trip to California to kind of get out of town, change the scenery. And coming back from that trip, we were driving up from Southern California. I still had like over 2 months of my sabbatical left, but I was like anxious on the car ride home, because I think my normal routine is like, okay, I'm going back to work. What's going on when I left? What is I'm preaching? And like, I started getting really anxious. And so like my body and my mind were like ready to, okay, you had your 2 or 3 weeks, get back to it. And so I was like, why am I anxious? I'm not going back for like 2 more months. Like, so that was interesting. Again, I just really was grateful for the rest from, I mean, you know better than I do, when you preach and you preach multiple gatherings, like to get up on Monday and be like, all right, you reset the clock 5 or 6 days, 4 or 5 days if you want to try to take a Saturday off or something to get this ready to go again. And I know this is a terrible analogy because I watched my wife give birth to 3 children and they are amazing.
He's giving the birthing analogy.
But I've heard people say it's like, you know, and the analogy or the metaphor illustration is you give it your all on Sunday. You're exhausted, and then you have to go do it all over again. It's like giving birth, and then again I'm going to have to go through that again. And so to not have that, man, like just Andrea was teasing me because she always encourages me to take a Sunday afternoon nap, which I need it. And she was teasing me like I wanted a nap on a Sunday. She's like, well, you didn't preach, like you didn't earn your nap, you know, like because she knows when I am preaching, I need that mental break. I need the rest. And so, yeah, it was just great. But like, so even smaller vacations, you want to get to a point where you're excited to go back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I definitely got to that point even early on, and now I'm so excited to. As you can hear in my voice, I have a very exciting voice.
Your voice is so excited right
this
now.
is my excited face.
Yeah.
No, but I just say I can't wait to preach. I can't wait to be with our people.
Dude, is your head going to explode when you go to preach this Sunday?
It was funny kind of starting to prepare a little bit. It was like, okay, like how do I do this again? You know, it's like riding a bike, but it was like going back through my whole week-long process of starts with just the text and you figuring out a big idea and an outline and a purpose and all these things. But once I got back into it, it was like, oh, this is cool. I missed this. And but I think I will be nervous. I think like, so one of my elders, Greg, he made a joke when I went on sabbatical. Like he's like, hey, when you get back, your preaching better be a heck of a lot better. I had some choice words for him. We have a good relationship, but I think there is kind of that pressure that no one but myself is putting on me of like, all right, you're coming back. You got to be like at your A game. You got to like show the people why
you got to score
they
30.
missed you or whatever. Yeah. And so, which is just silly. And again, it's not my identity. But I'm excited. I love preaching to our people and so.
Family wise, Andrea and the kids, like, well, obviously the sabbatical for you is a sabbatical for them as well, because I mean, and that for when we took our sabbatical, I really feel like it was so much of it was about that, the lack of like work stuff that would pull my attention that way. And I could be just fully present. And obviously you take trips and you do different things like that. But the accessibility and the presence and all that with your family, like maybe reflect on that a little bit.
Yeah, that was huge. My kids are so sweet and young that like even in my normal work schedule, when I have days off, like they're like Daddy Day, like they love it. Like Dad's going to be home today. And I think for them, it kind of blew their mind that I was home for like 3 months, you know, like, it also made me really grateful that I'm not always home, and that I get to work. But no, so this was a huge thing. I wrote down as I was kind of journaling, I got to be more active in the daily discipleship of my kids. Andrea, my wife, is usually solo during the day with the kids. I'm going to read this. That as the kids go through the ups and downs of growing up, of learning right from wrong, of how to act in relation to others, and what God has to say about it all, I'm glad I got to be there and be more involved in these moments. Because I feel like a lot of times I come home from work and Andrea's giving me the lowdown of this happened, this disobedience, this fight, this bad attitude. And I'm kind of trying to disciple and parent what happened 4 or 5 hours before then, which is necessary. But to be there every day on the road trip, different things. And they're sinners. Mom and dad are sinners. Like there's stuff, but be able to open the word, disciple them in the moment, and really kind of lead my family in that way, and not have my wife have to do that by herself as she homeschools and stays home with them all day, which I'm grateful for. And she does an incredible job. But, so that was really cool just to be around and just to spend quality time with the kids, playing and, getting to make good memories. They're at an age where they're going to remember the road trip we took and the fun things we did. And, yeah, but I mean, it was definitely, it was challenging too. Just being all together, in the car and different things as everyone knows. But, yeah, so again, like my coach was telling me, so it's not like, okay, sabbatical's over, so now you don't intentionally disciple your kids. Yeah. It's like,
finally, done with that.
What did I learn in all these things that I had the blessing of doing, like in a more intentional, long-term way? How can I do it better in the normal life? So utilizing my days off to not just veg and be for me, but okay, I have a day off now to be with my kids, take that weight off my wife, allow her to rest, and I can get more play. And I think I do that, but I just want to do that more. And, yeah, so that was a huge thing. And then I'll just share one more. Just the importance of having fun and having joy. My sabbatical coach was really encouraging me that it's necessary to do things that are trivial sometimes, to pursue hobbies, to have fun, to laugh, to not always be productive. And so I was just thinking through James 1:17, every good gift, every good and perfect gift comes down from above, coming from the Father of lights. 1 Timothy 6:17, he's saying to charge the rich in this age not to be haughty or to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. So we're not to put our hope in God's gifts, but God does provide these gifts for us to enjoy. And so I got to play a lot of golf. We went to theme parks. I got to read a lot of books, fiction books. We had good food, good drink, laughing as a family. On the road trip, listening to audiobooks, listening to clean stand-up comedians, and just laughing in the car as a family. And I was just really grateful I got to do that. I needed that fun and to just be. And I think I'm way too serious, and just like, because life is serious, ministry is serious, and I just needed to be silly a little bit, and I got a chance to do that. So again, how do I incorporate that on Sabbath? I think is an important thing for our family, just to play and to have fun and enjoy God's gifts. So all in all, it was amazing. I'm really grateful to you and NGC. I told people this all the time. And here's the crazy thing, Andrew. We saw lots of family and friends that aren't from around here connected, who are Christians, who are in churches. And sadly, most of them were surprised, like, wow, your church is giving you that? Like, our church has never even done anything like that. And it made me sad for all the pastors of their churches. Like, it's such a gift. And I kept telling people, it's such a gift that the church gave, that like, it's a huge investment for them to pay me my full salary and give me a gift on top of that to do things with my family while I'm not working. They're getting, it's like a picture of the gospel. They're giving grace. They're giving grace and like expecting and getting nothing in return. There's no way I can pay the church back for any of this. So it's such a huge gift, but I think the investment on the churches, and Lord willing, what I'm expecting to happen is I'm now recharged to go another 7, 8, 9 years until I get gifted another one, whatever. And so that's the goal, right? The church wants us to be in it for the long haul. And like I said, if you run pedal to the metal for indefinitely, you're going to burn out. But I got to take the foot off the gas for 3 months, and now I'm tuned up, ready to go, and excited to get back into it. So, and I think that'll bless the church and the people. But thanks to NGC, thanks to our members at CW who did nothing but celebrate that we got to do this. I didn't receive barely any calls, texts, emails. Like, they respected our space. Like, they're awesome. So it was great, man.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
Man, super good. And thank you to the To Be the Church listeners, man, because they bore the last 3 months of random podcast fodder from me and whoever was around. So, yeah.
Well, we have John and Paul back. We need our Ringo.
Dude,
you know,
no
and
kidding.
I don't know who George is, but George is over there.
Yeah,
Cody
George
can be
is over
George.
there.
Yeah.
Cody's George. Yeah, so
we need our Ringo, our drummer, Tyler. He'll be back in about a month, though.
Yeah, dude. And he originally was a drummer. That was like his first instrument.
Yeah.
That's a good reference. Good Tyler history there. Yeah, we're totally done here. All right, so there it is. To Be the Church listeners, Ben's back. And, dude, super excited, buddy. Great. That was awesome stuff. All right, there it is.